Howdy folks, welcome back to the Pontiac shop. Hope you're all doing well out there. I am back at the house, and I just figured today I would show you all the 4x4s that we own. Now, as you can clearly see, none of these are 4x4s. These are super zoomy fun cars for weekends. But right out there is the 4x4s. Let's get right to them. Okay, first one we got is a 2005 Jeep Liberty CRD. CRD stands for I have no idea. But what I do know is this is a 4-cylinder diesel engine built by Fiat for tractors in Italy, and it's super cool. It is a limited package. That means it has heated seats, it's got leather seats. It's about as nice as you could get back in 2005 with a Jeep. Check that out. I got GMRS radio right there, aftermarket head unit right there, and then everything else is bone stock. And believe it or not, this has 234,000 miles on it, which is absolutely insane for a vehicle of this year because of the bad build quality that they are known for. Except this is an absolute tank. This is one of the best Jeeps, in my opinion, that was made back in the 2000s, and I honestly think they were not remembered very well for what they could do, because they were never tested for it. I have aftermarket Morimoto lights on here, just like that, and I think I'm going to show you guys how she sounds. Alright, now that she's idling here, I'm going to show you all the features that she's got, all the aftermarket upgrades. First, let's start with this ARB metal bumper, Warn winch, Morimoto pod lights. Those came in very handy on the trail. We got Mickey Thompson Baja Boss all-terrain tires, and these things were absolutely monsters off-road on the Magruder Corridor this summer. There is not a video of that yet, but I am working on it. We got roof rack that I put on this summer as well. That's where the jerry cans were. I'll show you a photo of that now. Then moving back down here, we got these rock sliders. They're very high quality. They've been put to the test. They've been put through the ringer. 3-inch lift all around. Under Armour protection all the way through. Aftermarket exhaust from the previous owner. And with a cat delete and with a vacuum leak up there that I have yet to track down, she blows smoke real bad. That's what all this staining is on the rear, and I must say I feel very bad for the people behind us, because right now her name is Yeti, and right now Yeti is pretty slow with that vacuum leak, and so I'll be pinning it up an incline and it'll just go bleh. Anywho, that's enough on the Yeti. Let's move on to Bigfoot. Moving back to Bigfoot right here. She's once again got the steel ARB bumper. Aftermarket lights off of Amazon. Amazon specials right there. Very impressive with performance. We got a Smittybilt synthetic 12,000 pound winch. We got the Factor 55 closed loop winching system. This is as well a 2006 Jeep Liberty CRD 4-cylinder diesel, just like Yeti over there. What is very interesting about Bigfoot is she has the Renegade package features, but other features in the Renegade package are not on here. So, for example, we have the Renegade mud flaps. We have the very rare optional side steps. I've never seen these on person, and I've never seen them on other Jeep Liberties in Facebook groups. Here are the overhead Renegade lights. We have these lovely window shades, and then we got these plastic taillight cages in the rear, and then all of that is on the base model CRD. So I presume that most of this was installed at the dealer after purchase. All right, moving inside of Bigfoot, we once again have the base low base model. This is as low as it got in the Jeep Liberty, and this is how most of them came. So the interior would be considered the Liberty Sport, but this was not called the Liberty Sport, and I'll get to that in a moment. We got a simple radio, simple HVAC, simple gear shift, No seat warmers. These are cloth seats. I put seat covers over them because I absolutely hate the feeling of cloth seats. This is a very interesting shifter here. We have 2-wheel drive and 4 part-time, which is actually an all-wheel drive system. And then once we get up here to 4 full-time, that is the real 4x4 that you will normally see. And then of course you got 4 low. Interesting thing about that is most of the Jeep Liberties only had 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. There was no part-time. And part-time is used for the winter on asphalt roads, you know, main roads, just to give you more control. And I must say, from experience, it is a real lifesaver. Okay, moving back outside, we got BF Goodrich KO2s on Bigfoot here. These have been on since 2016, and they have held up very well. They are in need of a rotation, however, and that is coming this week. These are 30 inches, and they are very good on-road and off-road. I love them so much, and these are skinnies. These are very much so skinnies compared to the wide boys on the Yeti over there. And then moving back here, we have a simple Factor 55 recovery point in the rear hitch receiver. And then this is an aftermarket skid plate for the fuel tank. Very thick steel, very durable, and it has been put to the test. Back here you will see an ARB diff cover. That means we have installed an ARB locker. It is an auto locker, so we do not engage it. It engages when it decides it needs it. It is very cool, and it has very much helped in many conditions. They both have that. They both have the ARB locker. This is running stock exhaust, and I must say it still sounds pretty dang good to me. As you can see, this is much quieter in the rear compared to Yeti over there. But what's interesting is Bigfoot is much louder in the front. If you'll take a quick listen here, there's a lot more clicky clack. But those are not lifter ticks. It is just the sound of the good old diesel with stock exhaust. I don't know how it works. Don't ask me, but it is super cool, and I love the sound of the engine on this, and I love the sound of the exhaust on this. Okay, that is it for the 2 Jeep Liberties, and I think it's time we got to the Land Rover. Moving over to good old Landy here. She is very tired, and she has been in the family for more than 10 years now. She is the original 4x4 that we owned, and she has taken us so many places. My brother drove her in high school. I'm driving her in high school, and she, as you can see, has seen it all. She has been everywhere, and she is mostly stock. In my opinion, the Land Rover Discovery 2 was the most capable off-road vehicle off the factory line. So that means she had a center locking diff. Land Rover did not have locking differentials in the front or the rear. But they did not need that because this was one of the first vehicles to have such an advanced traction control system. It is very interesting how they did it, and I envy Land Rover for that technology. But what you all must be thinking is, why do you have this? That engine is so bad. And I'm going to show that to you right now. I got the hood up, and here it is, the gem that no one wanted, the Buick V8 from the 1960s that Land Rover put into their Discovery series and was an utter mistake. Let me elaborate. So, for those of you who don't know, the Buick V8 that is sitting right here was designed in the 1960s, and it was concluded back in the 60s that it was a very unreliable engine for the market. And so what they did is they sold it to the British, who were like, oh my, this must be such a great deal. Definitely not a British accent right there. And they bought it and they regretted it. And they put it in the Range Rover back in the 70s, and it had horrible reliability issues. And instead of replacing the engine for something better, they thought, oh my, no, I don't think so. That is definitely has potential, so we're gonna try and fix it. And they tried to fix it for the longest time, and they finally bit the bullet with the Discovery 2, and they're like, okay, it's not worth it anymore. So they threw in, I do believe it was a Ford V8 in the LR3s, but this is the Discovery 2. And that engine was much more reliable than this. But getting back to Landy right here, this engine, regardless of all of its very common issues with the cylinder sleeves coming out of place and nuking the engines, and then the cylinder sleeves cracking and destroying the engines, and the head gaskets blowing and destroying the engines, this one has had no issues. Let's see. She's had head gaskets replaced one time, not because of failure, but because of preventative maintenance, and that was 8+ years ago. And right now, as of now, she has had no engine issues. But I'm going to show a clip right now, and I'll explain afterwards. Okay, so that clip you just saw was of the timing chain gasket way down in there failing, and that caused all the coolant to leak out and go bye-bye into the earth when we were getting the tires rotated. Because I had fixed this, the water pump went out years ago, and I finally fixed it this summer, and we drove it, but my dad overpressurized the system when he was testing it with compressed air, and he broke the timing chain gasket, and now she's sitting here awaiting parts from Europe so I can fix her again. But getting back to the reliability issues where I said she had no problems, when my brother drove this through high school, she had no breakdown issues engine-wise. Engine-wise, she had no breakdown issues. She drove for about a good 5 or 6 years without any problems in here. The alternator was rebuilt, oil changes, of course. I do believe the spark plugs were done at some point, spark plugs and wires. But other than that, my brother drove this all through the OI. He's with him and his pals. He raced it. He raced this thing, obviously lost, but it had no problems. But Land Rovers hate sitting, and she's been sitting on this side yard for the past 8 years getting damaged because it's a Land Rover, and somehow that happens. Anywho, getting away from the engine bay after that story is done, I am moving into the interior. So the original intentions of Land Rover back in the day was they wanted to create a luxury off-road vehicle, because if you look back in the 90s, you had the choice between a Cherokee, you had a choice between a Wrangler, and you sorta had the choice between a G-Class, but no one had money for that. Anyway, getting over here, this was the most luxurious off-road vehicle you could get at the time that was still very, very capable. Let's see, you got a self-opening little gimmick here that opens the fuel. You got seat warmers. You have 2 skylights that open. You have virtually no room in the back, but no one cares about the back people, right? And so, coming back up here, you have very conveniently placed horn buttons right there. Instead of having to go, ugh, you go right there, and it's much more simple. You have volume controls on the steering wheel. You have cruise control. You have a cassette and 6 CD changer. A 6-slot CD changer that is right under that seat. And so overall, this vehicle was built super well and such an indestructible off-road luxury town cruiser, but the engine killed them. That is my analogy. The engine in these and the reputation afterwards absolutely killed the value on these, and it killed all interest in them. But LS swapping that engine brings this easily up to 20 grand or more of value. Personally, I think that value is a little overestimated, because these engines, as long as you're not being stupid with them and you care for them, and if you don't overheat them, they go great, and you do preventative maintenance, they do great. And then look at all this back room. Look at all the room back here. We got jump seats. We got nice headrests that come down like so. Put that back up. You got monkey windows right here. I love those. And then all this space for your off-road gear. You can put a table here, take all this stuff off, put a fold down table. You got a step right here to step up and access the roof. Paint's fading a little bit, but that's to be expected. We have some Thule crossbars up here for all sorts of stuff that we used to drive around with. Like they were built tough, and Land Rover proved it. They took, like, I do believe it was about 5 or 6 off-road Land Rovers straight off the dealer floor, and they took them on the most brutal off-road expeditions there was. They took them across South America. They took them across Russia, I do believe. And they did great. They did world events where all these different representatives of countries off-roaded these in races, and it was absolutely awesome. And I think that these things deserve more respect than they receive in the off-road market. For example, this interior, as I said before, is very, very, very fancy and luxurious for the time. And when you think about it, this is a 2002 Land Rover Discovery 2. And then right over here, we have Bigfoot here, 2006 Jeep Liberty. And the base model, you saw the interior on that. It's very, very low, cheaply made as much as possible so they can capitalize on as much revenue as possible. But, window regulators break, the door handles break. But on this, none of that has happened yet. Definitely not talking about the driver's side window. That definitely did not break and has been broken for the past 10 years. Anyway, these things are monsters off-road, and I believe they should deserve more respect than they receive in the off-road scene. Shoo! Oh, hey! Right, folks, this is the next one on the line. This is our 2017 Ram 2500 Power Wagon Laramie Edition. She is all built out. This is the most capable vehicle in our fleet currently. We got her as a flood vehicle back in 2018, and she was an absolute steal. She has all the mods. She's got everything. She's ready for Moab. She's ready for just about anything you can throw at her. And I'm going to show you all the features. Alrighty, folks, as you can see, she is very built out. This is the most capable vehicle in the fleet. She is a beast off-road, and I'm going to start with all the stock manufacturer installed options first. Let's get into it. Okay, starting off, under the hood, we have the Ram 2500 heavy duty. That is the same Hemi that is in the Chargers and Challengers back in the day. And then moving on into the interior, we have the Laramie, I do believe it is called the Desert package, which is these beautiful tan colors. I absolutely love it. This has got to be one of my favorite interiors of all of our vehicles. See, we got these cargo flats when the seats fold up. That is an absolute lifesaver when moving boxes and all the sorts. We have factory front and rear lockers. Those are awesome. We got a factory disconnecting sway bar. We got all the tow controls, all the luxury features, heated seats, air conditioned seats, heated steering wheel, wonderful, wonderful gauge cluster, beautiful commanding position. And then moving back out here, if we come to the back seat real quick, if we fold this up, she's got hidden storage down in these wells. That's where our winch controller is currently. That is an absolute lifesaver. And then we have these wonderful back seats right here. I love these. And then moving farther back onto the outside again, we have the Ram box. I absolutely love this. You can fit all your off-road gear in here. It is an absolute lifesaver on the trail. Alrighty, moving on to the features that we have installed, all the mods that we've put on it. We first have this beautiful Fab 4 Matrix powder coated black bumper right here with a Smittybilt 12,000 pound Warn winch with the classic Factor 55 closed winching system. we have these lovely ProComp pod lights along with a ProComp light bar right on the front. We have aftermarket Morimoto HID projector headlights right here. Those look absolutely awesome. I love those. Let me just unlock it real quick. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful pieces right there. And then moving back here, we have Mickey Thompson rims along with the Mickey Thompson Baja Boss mud terrain tires. Absolute beast off-road. I do believe these are 35s. They do great in the snow. And then we have these Maple off-road rock sliders along with a Maple off-road transmission protector pan. Then moving back here, we once again have a nice powder coated bumper. I do not know the company that makes this bumper, but it does have a nice tire carrier. Our tire is currently sitting up there. We have not installed it yet. We have these lovely, once again, Morimoto tail lights with these beautiful infinity lenses. They look amazing. I love that feature so much. I believe that is everything on the Power Wagon. And now let's move on to the final Land Rover. Alrighty folks, this is the last one in the fleet. We have a 2012 Land Rover LR4 air suspension all around, BF Goodrich KO2s. I do believe those are 33s running on Tough Ant rims. Absolutely awesome. We have this lovely color package here with the two-tone black striping. I do not know what that is called by Land Rover. If you do know, please leave a comment. I would love to know the name of it. We have these nice Land Rover installed pod lights that have seen better days. I try to tighten them, but it doesn't work. So those are getting replaced soon. Moving back here, we have these lovely crossbars installed by Land Rover. And then back in the rear, we have these lovely cage lights installed by Land Rover. A lovely Land Rover ladder. And this is an aftermarket Land Rover tire carrier that we installed. It is bolted right onto the stock bumper. Opening this up, we have a two-stage tailgate on the LR4, which is quite convenient. You know, it gives you a nice place to sit, just like that. Then coming up, back closing that up. Erg. Folks, that's it for the outside. Let's move on to the interior. All right, opening the door, we have this nice, very modern looking interior from Land Rover back in 2012. It's most impressive. And then a very commanding seating position, just like the Discovery 2 up there. If we start her up right here. Very, very comfortable, wonderful seats by Land Rover. As everyone knows, they are some of the most luxurious vehicles on the market, and back in 2012 is really when they started kicking it up into high gear. Alrighty, moving down here, we have the off-road settings. We have highway, we have snow mode, we have off-road mode, we have sand mode, and we have rock crawl mode. Setting it back to highway, air suspension all around. Right here, I can select the highest setting, and you guys can't tell, but it is lifting us off the ground by another few inches. All right, that's about it. That's not much more to say about this bad boy. I do believe that is all the off-road rigs we got. As you can see, she is much higher up now, much more range. And a wonderful thing about the LR4s is they have the most advanced traction control system. Center locking diff, just like the Discovery 2s, and traction control all around, so lockers are not necessarily needed. Interesting feature about this LR4 is this used to be my brother's LR4 until the head gasket allegedly blew after a mechanic worked on it, but we were able to fix it. My brother was absolutely discouraged. He loved his LR4. His wife loved his LR4. I love their LR4, and I still do today. But so he shipped it to our house. He drove it over here, had it towed, and it sat for a while we were thinking about what the heck do we do with this thing. It's got a blown head gasket. She's overheating. She's got air in the system. And you know what we said? We said, let's fix it. You'll notice on some of my YouTube shorts, one of my YouTube shorts, that I do have a video with this Land Rover, and we're blowing out the air system, the coolant system. And that is what you have to do with these Land Rovers, because the way their coolant systems are designed is stupid. And when you fill them up, they still got air in the lines. So you gotta vacuum, you gotta give the cooling system a total vacuum in order for you to replace that vacuum with the coolant you are adding. And so we threw some steel seal gasket fixer into the engine. We threw coolant into the engine, and it's been driving ever since. It is an absolutely impressive feat, and she drives in about a 3 or 4 mile circle every day when my dad drives her to work, and I do believe she's holding up quite well. You know, there's a little condensation coming out, but that's just because it's cold outside, and I honestly believe that she is fixed, but we have yet to find that out completely. I am going to Nevada to pick up some parts for Scruffy one of these days, and we're going to take this in a trailer, and we're going to see how she does and see if she'll strand us or if she'll get us there and back with all the parts.